And the beat goes on. Welcome back. It's my top 100 games, 70 to 61 today. Let's jump right into it. My number 70 is a dice placement game. You're bidding on certain cards. It's a Euro game that's been around for a few years now. I haven't seen many people talking about it much lately, but it's a lot of fun. I'm glad I have it in my collection, and that is Coimbra. It's based off the Portuguese city. Coimbra is a game where it's a Euro style game. The theme is not too strong. You're essentially trying to get these cards, gain their power. You're gonna start a little engine building up, but you're bidding against other players depending on which dice you roll. You're moving travelers around, the ships around the board. I'm surprised there hasn't been an expansion for this game. It was popular when it first came out. I know there's a few people, content creators out there that like it, but lately at conventions and stuff, I haven't really been seeing anybody playing it. But it's still a great game. I think you should check out. Artwork is fantastic. Yeah, very very simple. It's not even that hard. I will say it was a light midweight game, easy to pick up. Yeah, that's my number 70, Coimbra. Number 69 is my only roll and write game on this list. I'm really not a fan of roll and writes. I tried to get into a few. I have Cartographers, which is fine, and Trois Dice, but I don't know, they really don't do it for me. I feel that a lot of them are very multiplayer solitaire, but this one is not. This is Long Shot, the dice game. This is a great roll and write game where betting on different horses. You can own the horse, and you're rolling and you're moving a certain horse a certain amount of time, and you're trying to, again, it feels very authentic. It feels like almost like a horse race. The theme is very strong. It's a lot of fun. I think it's the best roll and write game out there. Again, I'm sure other people would agree, some would disagree, but it is the only one that I would play unless something else comes out. I know people talk about Hadrian's Wall, and I'm not feeling that game at all. Again, very multiplayer solitaire was something I really do not care for, and especially Long Shot is a very simple, easy game too. I mean, at first from reading the rulebook, it could be a little daunting, but I caught on pretty quickly, and that's why it is my favorite roll and write game, and why it is number 69 on my top 100 games of all time. 68 is another engine building card game. That is Aquatica. Aquatica is a great little engine. I shouldn't call it engine builder because there's actually an expansion out there for it, which I haven't played yet. But yeah, you're pretty much setting off getting these cards, and you're setting like your manatees out to pick them up and putting them in your kingdom, and it's a lot of fun. It's I forgot who the developer was, but it's a great card, a very unique card game. The aesthetics are amazing. Card work is really good too. I haven't played with the expansion. I really want to try the expansion. I haven't tabled the game in a while, but it's a fantastic game that I think I still see it being played at conventions a lot. I know I saw it played at the Long Island board game convention of last year. I did see it at PAX, but yeah, it's still a popular game that's out there. It's a few years old now. I think it's about 3-4 years old, and it's still pretty popular. Which I'm happy to see because it's a great game. That is my number 68, Aquatica. 67 is some people call a civilization game, which it's not. Some people can look at it as an area control, which it's not either. It is a little bit of a engine builder, and judging by it's got a really big box, but the game is just very, very simple. And I had the pleasure to review it a few years ago, and I don't know if it's here. It's here somewhere. It's right over here. That is Tapestry by Stonemaier Games. So Tapestry is a game that originally I gave it a 7.5, but I think it's gonna. I like it more than a 7.5, only because of how easy it is to table. Yeah, it's a big box. I think it's unnecessarily big, and I don't even have any of the expansions yet. I would like to pick up the expansions for it, but it's just so simple. You're choosing one of the like I think I know it's the science, military, and technology. You're choosing one to move up on, and you pay the resource. You're placing a tile down, putting your little tower, and then you can attack other players too. But they also can bluff and defend it and defend themselves. It's not too mean, but there's a little bit of like take that to it, which I do like. But my biggest gripe with that game, and I don't know if it's been fixed with the expansions, is that you can get done before other players. So yeah, here's your civilization, you do everything that you can do, and then you're sitting sometimes for another 30 minutes while others are still finishing up their game. That is my biggest gripe with the game. But other than that, it's a really fun, I wouldn't call it super light. It's about, again, medium light game, very easy to table. It's not a gateway game, but it's a game that I would recommend gateway game players to get into, to take it up a notch. To get somebody into board games. It's definitely one of those type of games, and that's why it is number 67. That is Tapestry. Number 66 is another trick-taking game. It's a little bit of an area control game too. It's a very unique game called Joraku. So in Joraku, I think I'm pronouncing it right. Joraku, you are like a shogun samurai, and you're playing cards. And you're taking over different areas of the map. There's combat and stuff. It's a game. The only reason I found out about it was I forgot who it was. I believe it was one of the guys from what's that company? The ones who did Veiled Fate, Mythic Mischief. It was like one of his top 100 games of all time, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty interesting. I picked it up. It was fairly cheap, and I liked it a lot. It was one of the best trick-taking games I've ever played. Not the best. I think there's another one on this list. No spoilers. But yeah, Joraku, definitely check. If you like area control, in games like Condottiere, you would like Joraku. I think Joraku is a step up from a game like Condottiere. Condottiere it was on my list last year. It's not on my list this year. Again, it's a fairly old game. There are better games out there, but it's a simple game to get to the table. Joraku takes it up a bit, and it's a lot better than Condottiere. But yeah, that is my number 66, Joraku. 65 is new to the list, and I'm actually going to be doing a review soon. I just need to get one or two more games in. This was a game that was actually applied to me for a review, and I did a first impressions video of it. It is a big box social deduction game called Among Cultists. So Among Cultists is based off this popular video game called Among Us, where people are running around doing different tasks on the spaceship, and one of them is a traitor, and you're trying to figure out who it is. Well, Among Cultists takes a similar approach to that. So you're playing as these investigators, and depending on the player count, one or two can be cultists. And as an investigator, you're trying to go to these different locations, gather these books, solve the clues, but also when you come in contact with other investigators, they can secretly give you a card that can kill you, but you don't know that yet. Now, when an investigator dies, they turn into a ghost, so they're not out of the game. So they're still interacting with all the other players, trying to help the investigators win. And another thing that's great about this game is that there's several other maps that change. I don't want to say they change the mechanisms, but they do change the way the game plays a bit, which is really good. I think there's a few more expansions coming out. So yeah, Among Cultists is a great social deduction game I feel like in an age where now social deduction games are starting to, I feel like they're kind of not as popular as they used to be. Like games like Avalon, Secret Hitler. I think they're great. They were fun when they came out, but they're just not as good anymore. It's like it's the same thing over and over again. Among Cultists keeps it fresh. There's another game that's not on my list only because I haven't played it enough, and that's The Thing, board game that is also a big box social deduction game, which I would like to review soon. It's fun, but I want to get a few more plays in before we do a review. And as of right now, Among Cultists is a little more fun because even though the rule book is not as good, there's some problems with it. The Thing has a horrible rule book. And when there's a bad rule book, the last two games I played, we've had mistakes because the rule book is just so bad. But it has promise. But for now, among calls, this is going to be on this list, and it is my number 65. 64 is the oldest game on my list, and that is Cosmic Encounter. Now, this is a card game, negotiating game, where you're trying to be the first to take over 5 planets. You're attacking other players, you're negotiating with them, and a game that is, I believe it's from 1977, that's 47 years old. It still holds up to this day. Yeah, sure, there's, a lot better games out there, but Cosmic Encounter is just so beloved to this day. It's got a million expansions. I have none of them yet. I was on the Board Game Geek the other day looking up which expansions to pick up, and also get a better storage solution. So if you guys know of any great storage solutions for Cosmic Encounter, please leave them in the comment section. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it still holds up to this day, and I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's going to be around for another 47 years because they'll just keep releasing more expansions for it. And so yeah, that's going to be my number 64, Cosmic Encounter. 63 is another 2-player game, a really beloved 2-player game. This is actually one of my favorites. I gave this game a 10 out of 10 because it was just so good, and my wife enjoys it a lot as well. It's one of the few games that she would play, and that is Caper Europe. So Caper Europe is a game where you're going to choose a European city, and you're playing cards. It's got a similar battle line mechanism where you're playing a card to an area, and you're trying to take certain artifacts or items from that area, eventually take it over. And it's just so unique. It has so much replayability because of the different cities that there are. It would be nice to have maybe a little expansion to add more cities to it too. But it's a really great 2-player game, one of the best out there. One I highly recommend. I see it at conventions too, being played a lot. Even at certain board game cafes, I see a lot of people playing that game. It's a great 2-player game. That is Caper Europe, my number 63. 62 is a new game to my list. It is a game that kicks Star Realms off this list. And Star Realms is a great deck building game. But this game does what Star Realms does, but better. I know Star Realms, you could play it in 15, 20 minutes. It's a quick 2-player game. But I love Star Wars, and I love Star Wars deck building game. I haven't done a review yet, but I hopefully get around to it soon one day. But Star Wars deck building game is a great 2-player game. Now, the core box itself is enough to keep you, and it has enough replayability, but you can tell there's a lot more coming to this game. They're going to grow this universe a bit. It would be nice maybe to add 2 more players to it. Hopefully that will work out. But yeah, Star Wars, the deck building game, is Star Realms on steroids. That's what I like to call it. It's got this unique market system where you're trying to buy these different cards, but your opponent can destroy those cards and prevent you from taking it. Again, you're still trying to do the same thing, destroy their base, and you get the jet, you get Luke Skywalker out, Darth Vader out. That changes the game tremendously. It's just a lot of fun. But Star Realms, if you're looking for a really quick 2-player game, go with Star Realms. But if you're looking for a more meatier, better, fun game, I'm going to say Star Wars deck building game. That's why it's my number 62. It could possibly go up when the expansions come out. 61 is probably the most simplest area control game on here. I know I said Royals. Royals was very simple. But the problem with number 61... I know there's a new version out now. I forgot the name of it. But when you look at the cover of this game, you see this big battle with Greek monsters and stuff going on. And you're like, oh, wow, this looks really cool. When you turn the box around, it looks like utter crap. What the hell is this? But what you don't realize is that there's a really good game in here. So that game is Ethnos. Now, what Ethnos is, it's a game by Simon. And I believe the new game that came out was called Archaeological Society. So in Ethnos, essentially what you're doing is you're collecting each game is going to be different because different monsters are going to be out. And what you're trying to do is get a group of these monsters or I think some of them are like dwarves and stuff. You're getting a group of these cards, putting them together, placing them down, and then putting an area control on that land that you want to put influence in. And it's essentially you're just like competing with other players, trying to have the most influence in each area. And it's done. It's so simple and it's so good. You know, I haven't seen it much at conventions though. It's a shame because I think maybe Archaeological Society might be taking it out, but I think I'd rather go with Ethnos than that. I mean, I'm not gonna buy the same game over again, but Ethnos is just so great. It's a game you should give a chance, especially if you like area control. Simple gateway game. I would call it a gateway game just because of how simple it is, but there is a lot of strategy in there as well, and replayability, which is important to me. And that's why Ethnos is my number 61. So that's going to do it for today, guys. What do you think of my list? Please leave them in the comments. Are any of these games on your top 100s of all time? Please like and subscribe to this channel. It really helps a lot. I'm trying, hopefully we can grow this channel a little more this year, get better equipment, start doing live playthroughs and other stuff. But yeah, so the list goes on. The next one's going to be 60 to 51. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, just keep on playing.